Welcome to today's edition of the Rush 24/7 Podcast.
It is so good to be back. I cannot tell you how happy I am to be back. Man, I've been chomping at the bit. I almost called everybody in yesterday, and I realized I wouldn't be able to find everybody. So I've been chomping at the bit all day, and here we are, folks, back at it. And according to the usual conventional wisdom, it's now after Labor Day, which means the campaign has really begun, which means that Trump is in the lead in no less than a CNN poll. He's up by 2 points. It's margin of error. This is stunning when you consider the firepower in what I call a summer of hate. The summer of hate, the hatred directed at Trump. When you look at all of the firepower from everywhere you can find, every sector of the drive-by media has been launching one salvo after another at Trump. And then the paid supporters of Hillary have been running their ads as well. But even without the ads, just the tenor and the tone and the substance of the drive-by media coverage, Trump ought to be at 20% and dead. And Trump hasn't spent much money at all. And yet he has now edged ahead. CNN is reporting this, their headline 9 weeks out, a near even race, which, of course, not what the headline should have been. The headline should be something like presidential poll, Donald Trump pulls ahead of Hillary Clinton despite our best efforts. And it really is. It's incredible. It is incredible. Now, you know, you go with the flow on the polls. I can't tell you the number of people. Rush, do you really think the polls are right? I tell you what my answer is. Yes, I believe them. It's too risky to choose to select a poll you want to believe one day and ignore one the next. It doesn't make any sense. You got to go with what they report. It's the path of least resistance, and it generally is accurate as to. I mean, there's some obviously outlier polls which get it wrong, and even some of the highbrow, some of the highly respected polls get it wrong. And, of course, polling data is used to make news rather than reflect it. We all know that. But it's simpler to go with it. This could be, if you believe in fake polls, this could be fake. And it could be fake designed to get everybody all revved up and hepped up. And then the next CNN poll is going to show Hillary up by 5, and you're supposed to get depressed and so forth. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to get into that kind of analysis of this. We'll just take it as it comes. Hillary Clinton and Trump start the race to November on essentially even ground. Trump edging Clinton by a scant 2 points among. You would think that Trump's had a 20-point lead, and it's down to 2 points the way they write this. Trump has come back, depending on the poll you look at, from down 12 to down 7, down 5. Now he's up 2. And in a Reuters Ipsos poll, Trump catches up to Clinton. Latest Reuters Ipsos poll finds Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump pulled into an effective tie with Hillary Clinton. And if you take a snapshot of the two candidates, one of them looks towering. One of them looks strong, decisive, and dare I say, even presidential on occasion. And the other one can't stop coughing. The other one barely shows up. Hillary Clinton hardly shows up at all, and I think we're beginning to see why. Did you see the 2 episodes of Hillary coughing in Cleveland, one on the plane and one at the appearance in Cleveland? I mean, folks, this is people are joking about this. Obviously, it's a presidential campaign and people having fun with it. But something's not right here. There's something that's potentially really, really wrong. This kind. In fact, I'm going to say this. After I watched the videotape of Clinton in Cleveland, I actually started asking him who on her staff allowed that to continue. Who put her out there? I mean, that's her only recovery line was, yeah, it's allergies. This happens to me every time I think of Trump. And there was moderate laughter and applause. I think we know why she is sequestered. I think we know why she is Well, she's sequestered for a host of reasons, but this is clearly one of them. And I really was curious, who put her out. I mean, I guess they figure at some point we got to put her out there at some point. It can't continue to hide our candidate for weekend on weekend, week after week after week. But if you haven't by any chance seen it, we have the audio coming up, and it takes 4 minutes to go through this. It is a painful 4 minutes to watch. And I think listening to it without seeing it may even have more impact. Because you will paint the picture of what she looks like in your mind as you listen to her cough. I will set the stage for you. She's at the podium. She's smiling. She's not wearing the house coat, by the way. Another curious choice by the campaign staff, that house coat, with the 4 cat and kangaroo pockets. It's strange. Strange stuff. Looked like she had a lot of tacos this weekend. I mean, when I watching the coughing video. But whoever decided to put her out there, folks, I'm telling you, at the Clinton campaign, I don't think it's all sweetness and light and roses and sunshine and upbeat positive. They haven't put her out there. Her numbers are going down. It's a combination. Trump's catching up and she's losing ground. Two things are happening. And in some of the polls, Trump isn't gaining any ground at all. Hillary's losing it. But no matter how you look at it from the Clinton camp, there is serious reason for serious concern. And let's review some of the things that happened just while I was gone. I think to put this in context might be a wise thing to do. Now, we supposedly have the lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer where everybody takes off and it's a 2 or 3 month period of relaxation and vacation and what. That's not at all what we have just completed here, particularly the last crazy days. This last holiday weekend, everybody is trying to cram in the last few hours of summer before the inevitable days of fall. The days getting shorter. That always has a change and impact on people's moods. Some people get really revved up going from summer to fall. Some people get depressed. It just depends. But the days get shorter and the memories of summer vanish. We had a slow news weekend, to be sure. No, we didn't, actually. I was going to say that we did, but we didn't. First, we had this hurricane, which nobody knows how to pronounce. Turned out to be really just another strong rain and windstorm, despite the best efforts of the drive-bys to whip it into a massive hurricane so that they could promote climate change. Trump went to Mexico. This happened last Wednesday. I can't tell you the number of people. You better get back behind the microphone. You can't let this go without anybody hearing what you think about it. You were saying that too, right? Trump's in Mexico, coming out of Mexico, Trump looking presidential, the president of Mexico acknowledging Trump as an equal on the stage, as a world leader. And the word is they talked about the wall. They talked about who's going to pay for it, or then they agreed to talk about that later. The trip was a shock. The drive-bys couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe the president of Mexico was such an idiot to elevate Trump's stature that way. Trump looked presidential. Everybody was saying, oh, my God, this man actually pulled it off. He seemed of stature. He seemed reasonable. He carried off the whole aura of being president. And then he went to Phoenix. And then he gave his immigration speech, complete with the specific 10-point plan. And the same people praising Trump in Mexico started savaging him for once again destroying the great reputation, the great picture that he had created, standing side by side with the president of Mexico. Then goes to his usual campaign rally, and he appeared to be in a totally different persona that they thought subtracted from the great gains he had made by appearing to be an equal on the stage with the president of Mexico. And the press conference that he had, most presidential. And if politics is all about optics, if politics is like acting, in the sense that nobody will ever remember what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel, that's the key to acting success, by the way. I mean, who remembers an actor's lines other than one or two? Play it again, Sam, type things. By the way, which wasn't ever said. It's how you make them. Trump made everybody feel very confident. Trump made a lot of detractors feel all these people that have invested in Trump who are being criticized for doing so felt vindicated. So that was a home run for those who look at things as optics. Then he goes to Phoenix, has his speech on immigration, 10-point to-do list or plan. And he made a point of saying that there's no equivocation, no flip-flopping, no softening. And after I guess a couple of hours after the speech, maybe a few hours the next day, there hasn't been any more on that speech in the drive-by media. And I think the reason is they didn't want to call any more attention to it than it already had achieved. But Trump wasn't through. After visiting the president of Mexico and then giving his 10-point immigration plan where he assured everybody that he wasn't flip-flopping and he wasn't softening and he wasn't changing anything. In fact, he's doubling down. Then where did he go? He went to Detroit. He went to an African-American church in Detroit. He danced. He gave a nice, inclusive speech. He got a standing ovation. He was honored by the pastor with a special prayer and a prayer shawl or prayer robe. I had to ask myself, when is the last Republican nominee or president being treated so gloriously, respectfully well in a black church, particularly in a solid Democrat city? But there Trump was, reaching out to a voting bloc that he supposedly has no chance at, the African-American vote, 92, 93% locked up, Democrat Party, guaranteed, nothing you can do about it. There he was, and he told them he came to listen. He told them he came to learn, but he also went there to speak. And he made his pitch. He said, look, you've been doing what you've been doing for 50 years. Why not give me a chance? What you got to lose? A line that the drive-bys say is a pathetic line. It's a horrible line. It's a pessimistic line. It's an apocalyptic line. It's a doom and gloom line. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. And yet he keeps connecting. You notice that whenever Trump goes anywhere and speaks to people personally, he connects. There is a connection established. And it's this connection, folks, that has the Democrats and Trump opponents everywhere, wherever you find them, in the Republican Party and the media, it has them buffaloed. They don't understand the connection. Despite how many attempts and efforts by me to explain it over the many recent months, they still don't understand. Maybe they understand it and resent it. It's not something that can be taught. It's not something that can be coached. And it isn't something that can be consulted. The ability to connect with people one-on-one when speaking to thousands. You realize how hard that is? The trick here is Trump is speaking to an audience, in this case, what was it, 250, 500, whatever the number was in church, but everybody there thought he was speaking to them individually, even when he wasn't looking at them. That's the trick. That's the trick to connecting with people. You have the ability to address thousands, millions, whatever the number is, who are watching or listening to you, and have each of them think you're talking to them individually. That's what can't be taught. It's not even charisma. It's a communication skill that is, you know where it resides? In the psyche. It resides in whatever part of the brain that provides you confidence. the ability to connect with people relies and resides in that part of the brain where you feel confident in yourself. And if you're afraid of public speaking, if you're not confident, most people aren't. Most people are obsessed with their faults and think that everybody is going to notice them. It's going to be tough to connect. You can do it in those circumstances. Honesty and confidence. Now, not to say that everybody who has this is a saint. I mean, there have been a lot of bad actors who've had the same talent and the same ability. But that's another story, a little bit of a derivative. Nevertheless, Trump goes to a black church. It's not supposed to be possible. It's supposed to get booed out of there. It's supposed to be hated and despised. Remember, he arrives as a racist. He arrives as a bigot. This is what the media, the Hillary campaign, the Democrat Party has characterized Trump as being. He shows up, but yet he's greeted with open arms and open minds. Now, to refute all this, Hillary Clinton was forced out of her whatever she's in, wherever she's going to rehab and rest. And she was forced out of debate prep. I don't know what she's doing, but she was forced out of it. And she ended up giving a tepid, wandering speech to the American Legion. She looked ill. She didn't manage to have a coughing spasm. She did manage not to have a coughing spasm during this speech, but clearly Hillary is in reactive mode. Hillary is reacting to Trump. I'm sure the Clinton strategy is to let Trump own the stage and destroy himself. Everybody knows the silent Hillary is the stronger Hillary. The more she has to appear, the greater the odds are her numbers and approval numbers are going to go down. It continues to happen. I can take a break here. We'll continue. Don't go away, folks. Just winding up now. So to continue the review of what happened, I was gone. And Trump continues to have huge crowds. Amazing photos of his Ohio rally with Tom Pence. And guess what? Mike Pence. The gang over at 538, Nate Silver, the wonderkind God saver for the left, is now saying Trump can win Ohio. And the left is panicking. And Trump and Pence had a massive rally, great appearance in Ohio, huge crowds. There are no photos of the crowd where Hillary had her first coughing fit of the Labor Day weekend. 4 minutes. That audio is coming up. Then we have the Obama humiliation tour. He jets off to the G20 economic summit in China, hosted by the Chicoms who dissed him. The moment the plane landed, they wouldn't roll up the big stairs. Did you hear about it? They wouldn't roll up the big stairs of the red carpet. Obama had to get out of the plane underneath the kitchens, the galleys, they call them, the service stairs. Obama had to get off the staff entrance of Air Force One. And then the new president of the Philippines, who Obama calls a colorful guy, called Obama the son of a hoe. I mean, it's just off the charts. And this is the continuation. And then, of course, his name is Rodrigo Duterte. And then Putin and Obama have this stare down. That's over Syria. Continuation of 8 years of dissing, disrespect, and humiliation for the Obama regime, starting when Hillary was Secretary of State. I mean, it was all on display. And the world was going to love us. The world was going to respect us. Obama was going to restore America's respect and greatness around the world, recover from how everybody hated Bush. And we just see one humiliation after another when Obama now travels to foreign countries. And I'm still not through with the review, so hang on. Greetings, my friends. Welcome back. El Rushmore continuing a brief review of what all went on when I was away. Much of it we are going to return to and visit in a little bit more depth. So the Obama humiliation tour goes to the G20, is disrespected in any number of ways, which, look, part of this is the fact that he's a lame duck and world leaders do not have to kowtow or bow down to Barack Hussein Obama, because he's on the way out. But this is all the more relevant because Obama campaigned as the guy who was going to fix all this. Obama was going to take over the world. He was going to reinvigorate the world. He was going to make the United States the most revered, the most respected, the most loved nation on earth simply by being there. So reviled was George W. Bush, so hated by the world, so disgusted by the Iraq War was the world, that Obama was going to unite everybody. And now look, there is no unification in our own country. Quite the opposite is taking place, and there isn't any around the world. And Obama is considered to be a paper tiger by pretty much every one of our serious military endowed enemies. It's not a pretty sight. I mean, you even have the president of the Philippines with a huge diss. He's apologized for it since it wasn't one of his better moments, and he's taken it back. And Obama covered it well. Said, yeah, I know the guy's quite colorful, and these kind of crazy, colorful things happen at these meetings and so forth. But the fact that it was said in the first place, and it was about U.S. intervention, and it was about the U.S. thinking it knows best, and the president of the Philippines not wanting any of it. Putin with a stare down of Obama. Actually, Putin had to stare up because he's shorter than Obama, but it didn't matter. The humiliation of the Obama administration includes Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State. Let's not forget that Russia has on several occasions buzzed U.S. Navy battleships. Iran has captured and embarrassed our corpsmen. We have paid a ransom for them to be released. It's unprecedented. And then Phyllis Schlafly passed away, the mother of conservatism, if you will, along with William F. Buckley and a few others way back. And I remember Phyllis Schlafly was tough. Phyllis Schlafly was demanding. When it came to the principles of conservatism, she harbored no infiltrators. She harbored nobody insincere about it. And she was able to identify those who were trying to capitalize on it but were not sincere about it. She could spot them a mile away. When I first came on the scene, which would have been August 1st of 1988, and it took a year or two it actually didn't take that long. The first year, all kinds of conservative leaders from every walk of life, from academia to politics to, wherever you found them. Who is this guy? They said, because I had not networked. I don't network today. I don't have a group of people that I'm constantly networking, and I'm a lone wolf, and as such, nobody ever heard of me. And they couldn't figure that out. I mean, the conservative movement is unique enough that most everybody in it, prominent, should have been known, and they had no idea who I was, and many of them were hands off for a while, very protective of the movement, understandably so. I mean, you don't want to be infiltrated by a bunch of people who intend to do it harm. And Phyllis Schlafly was, as I say, extremely demanding. And what actually, look, she was never disrespectful, quite the opposite. She was always welcoming and appreciative. It was mutual. And I did a number of appearances where she was also in attendance, and appearances at her request. But when my mother met Phyllis Schlafly is when Phyllis Schlafly finally decided that I was okay. And my mother became relatively close for not being in the movement through mutual friends, and traveled with Phyllis occasionally when she went to Florida for winters over in Naples. But she was something. She was tough. She was unrelenting. She defined the whole idea of sticking by your principles, standing by them. And as I say, she she did not tolerate anybody halfway. And it's not that she wanted to excommunicate people. And she wasn't exclusionary in any way, shape, manner, or form. It's just she believed it. And she led. And she was insistent that anybody in a prominent role actually be real and not a pretender. You know, every movement that has a claim and fame has people who want to be part of it because they want personal aggrandizement or fame. She was on the lookout for those kinds of people. And as long as they were genuine, as long as they were really conservative, as long as they were really interested in advancing the principles, she was fine. But if you weren't, and if you happened to be a liberal, she was, you know, just as tough and inspirational as anybody in the conservative movement has ever been. And she could be as nice and outgoing and as engaging as anybody you would meet. But if you riled her up, you knew about it. She was a great role model for a lot of people. She passed away at 92 and has left everyone with her last book and column. Big Trump supporter, big Trump advocate. I think it's interesting, you know, that many in the conservative movement look at Trump as destructive and damaging to the conservative movement because they don't believe that he is. And Phyllis was all in. And nobody will ever challenge Phyllis Schlafly's conservative credentials. Oh, she had her critics. She wasn't perfect, and she might have people think that she was off the rails here or there a time or two. But the fact that she was all in for Trump was inspiring to a lot of people, and she led a lot of people to Trump because of that. And she really did finally decide on this whole establishment versus everybody else alignment. She believed in it. And she thought that the establishment, elites, ruling class, and so forth had many pretenders claiming to be conservatives when it came time to campaign and get votes, but they failed. And it was her opinion they should go. And that's why she was rabidly pro-Trump. But I can't leave out something else that happened, and that was on Friday, a typical Friday move by the regime, a document dump. Hillary Clinton and all of these unknown FBI documents relating to their interview of her, and even some more emails, and it was simply incredible what we learned in it. And you know, the divide in this country is never better illustrated by the reaction to this. On the left, the reaction I have seen is that everything the FBI released in that document dump proves Hillary Clinton didn't do anything wrong. She didn't violate a single law. She didn't lie. She didn't lead anybody astray. She was totally above board and honest. And you read, and they believe this. And then on our side, you look at this, and it's the admission of one crime after another, and the realization that she's told one lie after another. It is incredible the things she told Comey and the FBI. For example, I didn't know that C meant classified in an email. I thought it was just it was right in front of a paragraph. I thought that was paragraph C. I didn't know that the C meant classified. Really? Where was paragraph A then? Where was paragraph B? There wasn't any paragraph A or paragraph B in these documents. I mean, it's that kind of sophistry. This woman gets away. She plays down the sex card, she plays down the race card, or sometimes the victim card, and at other times, she's actually totally comfortable with portraying herself as dumb or ignorant. Here's the smartest woman in the world, right? And Barack Obama and Bill Clinton both said at the Democrat convention there has never been anybody more qualified to be president than Hillary Rodham Clinton. Sorry, President Lincoln. Sorry, FDR. Sorry, Bill, Obama said. But Hillary's better than all of us. And yet this woman is totally at home. I didn't know. I can't recall. I don't remember. See, I thought that was the beginning of the paragraph C. I classified. Nobody told me that. She's totally at home, portraying herself as an ignoramus. which means Hillary Clinton is entirely comfortable with acquiring support by way of sympathy. I have never seen anybody market sympathy, feel sorry for me as a means of gaining and growing support, and yet she tries it. Folks, there's a reason that she's at 39% in these polls. There's a reason that people don't respect her. There's a reason that people have serious questions about her. The drive-by media, try as hard as they have, are not able to hide the character deficiencies. She's been on the public scene for 30 years. I mean, the simplest question to ask Hillary Clinton when she campaigns on any issue, Mrs. Clinton, why isn't this done? You've been at it for 30 years. You've been saying you want to accomplish the same stuff for 30 years. Why isn't any of it done? You've been Secretary of State. You've been Senator of New York. You have been First Lady. You ran the first step in health care. Why is none of your agenda any closer to being achieved than 30 years ago when you started it? Now, I don't know that people ask that question consciously. I think it's a subconscious thing that people realize. And then the lying and the fact that there isn't any excitement, you can't fake that. She doesn't draw any crowds. Nobody's busting down barriers to hear her speak, and people know this. So they're running a totally defensive campaign. The Democrat Party, the Hillary strategy is to shut up, cough in silence where nobody can see it, and hopefully watch Trump self-destruct. But Trump's not playing the game, despite the drive-bys doing everything they can to cause him to self-destruct or report that he's self-destructing. It just isn't happening. Got to take a break. We'll be back. We'll continue in mere moments, folks. Don't go away. Now, they killed off one of my favorite characters in that show, and I was shocked. I was stunned. No. Major Crimes. Major Crimes, one of my favorite shows, and last night I'm watching it, part one of a two-part finale, and they killed off Robert Gossett. Robert Gossett plays Russell Taylor as a police captain, assistant police captain. So it's just a great show. It's the sequel to The Closer. And Robert Gossett is one of the most naturally funny guys. I understand he's a stage actor, too. But, man, what a shock. What a shock. I hope it doesn't mean the show's over. But anyway, folks, back to the phones. I want to start here. We've got Mark in Springfield, Missouri. You're up first today. Great to have you on the EIB Network. Hello.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
My question, or my statement more or less, was my honest opinion that this current election is a garbage election. I think Hillary Clinton deserves a jail cell, and I think Trump deserves a padded one.
Well, so what do you attribute this to? I mean, how did these two end up being the nominee of their parties?
I think, Clinton has the political machine behind her. That is no doubt, and has no problem engaging in controversies when it comes to accepting millions of dollars in. Okay,
Trump. How do you explain Trump? How do you explain what many people on the Republican side thought was the best field in 20 years, best field maybe in 50 years? All those 15, not one of them could beat Trump. Why do you think that was?
I think the idea initially was that, he's an outsider. He doesn't have the political clout. But that actually speaks to a point that bothers me on the Republican side, is that many of the talking heads opposed Obama by being a community organizer. He had no experience for the job, despite being a senator and having a law degree and teaching law. He was not anything but a community organizer, absent the prerequisite requirements and experience when he went and became the president. Now, those exact same requirements are now thrown to the side when Trump goes for office because he doesn't have the political experience, none whatsoever. He has no law degree, never taught it.
Right.
But somehow the very requirements, the very prerequisites that existed for Obama can now be overlooked hypocritically, in my opinion.
Yeah, but see, you're saying something. You're getting really close. You're getting warm, but you're not getting close enough to get hot. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Celebrity. The guy who wrote on the Huffing and Puffington Post last week that politics has become a reality show, he's a celebrity. Trump's a celebrity. Jeb Bush is not a celebrity. Kasich's not a celebrity. Ted Cruz is not a celebrity. Yeah, Rush, well, that's right. It's politics. Folks, there's been a whole lot of cultural evolution going on out there while some people haven't been paying attention. Trump's a celebrity. You think Anthony Weiner's through? He's not through. He's a celebrity. He'll be back. Mark my words. He's a celebrity. We are, at this point in time in the evolution of our culture, we are immersed in a celebrity conscious. I'm not quite nailing it here because it sounds like I'm cheapening things, and maybe it is in a way. But there's a reason. I played golf with a bunch of different guys over the weekend. That's what I did. And every one of them, I mean, they all desperately want Trump to win because they just, I mean, folks, they are scared. And it's all about Supreme Court. They hate Hillary. They're afraid of Hillary. Supreme Court. If Democrats get Supreme Court, we're done in these guys. And I'm talking 15 or 20 people here. And they're all, please tell me he can win, Rush. Please tell me he can win. And not all of them like him. And some of them start lamenting that it is Trump. Even though they want him to win, they can't believe. One of them thought Kasich was the down-home, total best candidate we have. So why didn't he win? Why? I mean, if this is the best Republican field we've ever had, or in 20 years or 30, why didn't one of them, like Jeb Bush, $115 million, he's got 3 delegates to show for it. Why weren't any of those people ever able to make a serious run at Trump? By the way, not one of them blamed me, interestingly. And folks, I'm going to continue this, obviously, but I can't now because I've taken an obscene profit break. We'll be back. Don't go away. No. I'm not saying that there isn't any substance to the support for Trump. In fact, if you want to name the one reason Trump beat all these guys, I give it to you one word. Immigration. Immigration. 15 people ended up being wrong on it, as far as where Republican voters are concerned. Anyway, don't go away. We'll be back. Have you heard about Trump's latest move? Oh, man, they are seething. They are seething with rage on the left. Did you hear who Trump has just hired as his assistant campaign manager? David Bossie. Citizens United, Dave Bossie. Trump has just hired. This is another fun bit of news that set the drive-by's hair on fire. Trump has hired Dave Bossie to be his deputy campaign manager, which is just hilarious. That's going to inspire another coughing spasm fit from Hillary Clinton. They hate Citizens United. You know what Citizens United really is all about? Citizens United was a Supreme Court decision which basically allowed corporate entities to make campaign donations, aside from big labor, and the left hates it. But the reason it was a case, people have forgotten this, it was a movie involving Hillary Clinton that she tried to stop. She did not want the movie to air. I'm whittling this down to one of its bare essence, or essences. That's not a word. I'm whittling it down to one of the key elements of Citizens United, and that is that Mrs. Clinton does not want critical media of her to have a fair shot. And there are many other aspects of what the Citizens United case was about, but they are hell-bent on overturning it. It's an amount of money that they thought they had frozen out of politics, money that would naturally go to Republican and conservative candidates. But there was also the ability to openly criticize public figures that Hillary and Obama just despise. And it was the Citizens United case, if you remember, a State of the Union speech where Obama openly ripped it. And Judge Alito, in the audience with the Supreme Court justices, shook his head. Nope. And everybody thought that Alito was dissing Obama when Obama was dissing the court, is what actually happened. Anyway, Obama hiring Dave Bossie. I mean, I remember I first heard of Dave Bossie when Newt threw him overboard way back in the 90s. I don't even remember what for. But Newt threw him overboard. I've always liked Dave Bossie. He's one of these street fighters. He's out there. He's never been in the upper hierarchy of the academe, intellectual, conservative movement. He's one of these street fighters. He's down there in the jungle getting things done, along with Tom Fitton at Judicial Watch. These guys are they're just relentless. And to be hired as the assistant campaign, I mean, this is a fist. This is a fist right in the gut and twisting and turning it. right into the Hillary and the Democrat campaign. Anyway, greetings and welcome back. Rush Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone, 800-282-2882. We have a new email address. Rushlimbaugh at eibnet.us is the new email address. Now, look, folks, I say things that if I'm not careful, if I don't go back and put them in context, people will think I'm either changing my mind or saying something I've never said before. And we had a caller in the last hour who said that this election is an embarrassment. Hillary needs to be in jail and Trump needs to be in a padded cell. That's his impression. We've got the lowest of the low. We found the absolute two worst candidates we could possibly find. He was wringing his hands. What does it say about our culture, our country, and so forth? And I was mentioning to him, and because this subject came up when I was out, where did I play? Okay, I played Bel Air Country Club. I went to California. Some of my best friends in the world are in California, and I went to California. Weather was great, man, 75 for high. Ho, ho, ho. So played Bel Air a couple of times, played Sherwood Country Club out, Thousand Oaks area. And what a great, everybody was just fabulous there at both places. Great membership at both places. But the subject came up. Okay, how is it that Trump did this? I mean, there were 15 candidates on the Republican side, and you had any number of conservative commentators. In fact, when Trump came along and was actually, after the first 2 or 3 weeks when they started to have to take him seriously, they started wringing their hands. Oh, my God, this is the best field that we've ever had. This is the best field of potential presidents and potential nominees that we've had, and this Trump guy's coming along and blowing it to smithereens. And let's go through the names. We had Ted Cruz, we had Marco Rubio, we had Jeb Bush, we had Kasich, we had Christie, we had, Huckabee, we had Carly Fiorina. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I know I am. But I would ask these people, okay, well, then why wasn't one of them able to beat Trump? You had Jeb Bush had $115 million. Rick Santorum was one, too. Why? Well, Gilmore, Jim Pataki, Rick Perry. That's right. So all these people, why wasn't one of them able to beat Trump? And I said to him, among many other reasons, celebrity. And I don't, if people hear that and are not comfortable or not familiar with other things I've said about this, and that's all they hear, then they'll get the wrong idea. So I've got to retrace my steps. I don't doubt, and I don't mean to take that back. We do live in a celebrity-dominated culture. We live in a culture where everybody wants fame. Everybody rewards fame. Kaepernick. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. And it seems the more of a reprobate you are, the bigger celebrity you are, and the more fame you acquire, the more curious people are. There's no shame anymore. There really isn't any public ridicule or shame. Not lasting, anyway. But I don't want to disparage what Trump's done with that. I think celebrity is a factor, but there are clear substantive reasons why Trump beat all these people, and there are two. There are two reasons, and one of them is a topic. One of them is immigration, pure and simple. Republican voters had been lied to or misled by others in the party about immigration for years. And then there was the outsider versus insider thing. And Trump was, without question, in people's minds, an outsider. And the fatigue and anger that people have with Washington regulars had boiled over. People just, they weren't into it anymore for a host of reasons. So call it the perfect storm or what have you. Yeah, Scott Walker, Bobby Jindal. I mean, all of these names. And then, of course, all of them were dividing the anti-Trump vote. So you have to throw that in as a factor as well. And these postmortems, whatever happens here, whether Trump wins or loses, they're going to be postmortems. And I guarantee you, the people who are most to blame, if you want to talk about blame, are going to try to point fingers elsewhere for what went wrong. In fact, that's already begun now. But by saying that there is a celebrity factor, I'm not demeaning the substance of the campaign either, and the substance of the people supporting Trump, because there is. I think it's another thing that has the never-Trumpers perplexed, confused, or angry, because some of them do understand it, that it is substance, that it is not just celebrity. It's not just things that they can't achieve themselves, or some of them are not celebrities. They're never going to qualify as being celebrities. So they would love to chalk it up to that so that their substance can't be explained as the reason why they lost. But it is in many ways. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of reasons for this. And, assigning each of them a percentage as to how important they are as factors would be a difficult thing to do. Outsiders, big. Immigration and the position Trump had on it is big. Trade issues, they kind of go with immigration, but there'd be a third leg there of this. So those are the three primary things. And none of the others were genuine outsiders. Some of them tried to make themselves out to be, but they weren't. And some of them had baggage to carry on immigration that they were not able to shed. So, at any rate, there are still people who think that regardless of the reasons you give them for these two nominees, that we nevertheless are scraping the bottom of the barrel, that there has to be somebody better on our side. There has to be somebody better. There have to be more statesman-like people out there. There have to be more qualified people out there. There may be. Why aren't they interested? Anyway, we're going to save this for another day when there is more reason to discuss it. I want to join the crowd in the blame game now. It's too early for that. There's still a task at hand, and I want to keep moving forward here on the polling news. In addition to CNN, where Trump is up 2, and Reuters Ipsos, where Trump has pulled even with Hillary, focus groups of black voters put together by a Democrat pollster found that Hillary is underperforming among black voters, and particularly young black voters. The focus groups are organized by Cornell Belcher of the Brilliant Corner Research and Strategy Group. He previously worked as a pollster for the Democrat National Committee, found that Hillary is underperforming with black voters in Ohio and Florida, and that they don't feel compelled to vote for her just because they don't like Trump. In other words, their disdain for Trump does not automatically mean they're going to vote for Hillary. They don't like her either. And I'll get to one reason why. I got to get started in the audio sound bites. I've got a great full roster here, and much of this is explained when we go to the audio sound bites. Okay, we got to spend a little time on Hillary here, folks, as we get serious. The FBI document dump. There's a lot of other news, things circulating about Hillary that you're not going to hear in the drive-by media, but I want you to hear about it. I want you to know about it. Some of it may end up being forced into the mainstream media news cycle, and I want you to be up to speed on it. I want to start with the first coughing soundbite, which was yesterday in Cleveland during a campaign event. This bite is 3:24. The whole thing is over 4 minutes. All of it is Hillary unable to stop coughing. I can't believe it. Tim Kaine let this go on and didn't take the mic from her, didn't try to take over. I can't believe they sent her out in this condition. Something clearly not right. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to pretend to be one here. But all I know is I've had hacking coughs, and I've had them diagnosed, and there's only been reasons for them that are related to respiratory. Hers supposedly aren't. There's nothing wrong with her respiratory system. It's it's her thyroid and immune system and so forth. So at least as far as anybody can guess. But just listen to this. We're not going to have time to get this all in, which is kind of the point.
I want to thank Congresswoman Marcia Fudge for hosting us. I've been talking so... Every time I think about Trump, I get allergic. Boy, we have 63 days to go. Well, thank you. Whoa. Well, you just heard the next vice president, didn't you? In addition to thanking Marcia Fudge, let me also thank your great Senator Sherrod Brown. Also, excuse me.
What is going on
also,
here?
Two other great members of Congress, Tim Ryan and Joyce Beatty.
Okay, stop the tape. We're only halfway through this. And there's another one behind it here. And it's... I don't know how to describe this. There's something clearly not right, and they made no effort to stop this, cover it up. Well. You know, I made a mistake when I said that the Hillary campaign didn't do anything to cover for her during that coughing spasm fit, which went on for 4.5 minutes, by the way. You heard 2 minutes of it there before we had to go to the break, maybe 2.5. It went on another 2 minutes, and it was identical to that for easily 4.5 minutes. And nobody made any effort to rescue her. Somebody came out. She had a bottle of water or a glass of water. Somebody came out and gave her another container of some liquid that she drank from, not the water that she had. But aside from that, there was no help extended. Tim Kaine standing right behind her. The one thing you need to know is the drive-bys have not shown this. MSNBC, in fact, backed out of it, in the middle of it. And they didn't call attention to it. And that's Hillary Clinton with her campaign appearance in Ohio today. That's latest news here from MSNBC. They moved on to something else. There was no remark on it, no comment about it. And this is one of these things you're going to be running around saying, how can anybody not be concerned about this? And your answer is a lot of people haven't seen it. Now, to whatever extent, we're making sure millions hear it here. Fox News has aired it. It'd be reverberating in certain corners and sectors of social media. But there was another instance. Hillary's got a brand new campaign plan unveiled for the rest of the campaign this weekend. It's a Boeing 737 that has been outfitted specifically for her, paint jobs specifically for her. And the maiden voyage took place. She had the media on it, and she went back to the back of the plane to talk to the press. And everybody, see, she talks to the press, she talks to the press, she talks to us. And the kind of questions she got, do you like the plane? How are you doing? Boy, it's great to see you. Are you happy to see us? That's the extent of it. But she at least took some questions, and she had to cut it short because of coughing and the need to drink some water.
Bizarre attraction to dictators, including Putin. He won't tell us where he owes $650 million.
No. Audio soundbite 2. No, that's not what I have. That's not what it says. Play soundbite 2.
He seems to have this bizarre attraction to dictators, including Putin. He won't tell us where he owes $650 million. There's a lot of rumors about that. And he has, made it clear that he doesn't particularly care whether Putin and the intelligence services attack American institutions. So, get some water. Yep. Thank you. Thanks. Excuse me. I'll be right.
Folks, there's something clearly wrong here. We have heard this cough and seen this cough for months now. This is not due to a respiratory thing that clears up in a few weeks. Now, I've had one time in my career, I had a hacking cough that was due to a postnasal drip. It took months to diagnose it, and it felt to me like I had a perpetual cold, and I'm for 6 months. And I was hoarse. Not like this. I mean, my coughing was not anywhere near like this. But the point is, they were able to pinpoint a reason. Hillary's cough reportedly has nothing to do with the respiratory tract. It's to do with perhaps early onset Parkinson's or something to do with the thyroid. All I know is that, like, Drew Pinsky had a show on Headline News, and he got fired after he's a doctor, and he expressed grave concern for her as a doctor. Now, he admitted he hadn't diagnosed her, but he expressed grave concern, and they got rid of him. So they're keeping this close to the vest, and the drive-bys are trying to cover it up. Clearly, you have to go searching for this. This is not in anybody in the drive-by media's news cycle. But when you hear this, and believe me, hearing it is just as powerful as seeing it. I mean, you know what somebody looks like when they cough. She's turning away from the microphone when she coughs, and she's just can't stop. And you couple that with all these other things, like we don't see her for days at a time, and they tell us, well, she's resting and recuperating from what we don't know. But people have written me and said, Rush, imagine, just suppose for a second there's something seriously wrong. Why in the world would she risk her health to pursue this presidency, to campaign like this? I can't answer that because I don't have the obvious quest for power, the lust for power that these people do. But I think in the Clintons, it's off the charts. And I don't know the psychological makeup of it, but I'm telling you, there's something that sounds really, really drastically wrong. And I do wonder about the people who are close to her and who know and are still subjecting her to this. Now, admittedly, she runs the show. She's Nurse Ratched. So even if there are people trying to caution her and slow her down and protect her, she may be telling them to go to heck, that she's got a campaign to run and she's going to go out there and she's going to tough it out or what have you. But whoever, they're not putting her in the best light by any stretch. She has no issues to run on. She had time to get to an issue in this coughing spasm. She didn't even finish thanking all the so-called Democrat dignitaries that were there. She never got into any substance whatsoever here. Now let's go to the other side just for a second. Let's go to Trump. Saturday in Detroit at the Great Faith Ministries International. The CNN poll is out. It was taken September 1st through the 4th. That means it covered Hillary and her invisibility and coughing spasms, and it also covered Trump, his Mexico trip and his trip to the black church in Detroit, the Great Faith Ministries International. And I think there's subtle things, even if the drive-bys are trying to shield and cover up what's happening to Hillary, they're not able to do so totally. And the contrast here is striking. Here's Trump.
Becoming the nominee of the party of Abraham Lincoln. A lot of people don't realize that Abraham Lincoln, the great Abraham Lincoln, was a Republican, has been the greatest honor of my life. It is on his legacy that I hope to build the future of the party, but more important, the future of the country and the community. I believe we need a civil rights agenda for our time, one that ensures the rights to a great education, so important, and the right to live in safety and in peace, and to have a really, really great job, a good paying job, and one that you love to go to every morning. And that can happen.
I'm going to tell you something, folks. I don't care what you think of Trump. Nobody on the Democrat side says that. Not just to African-American voters. They don't say it to hardly any minority. They don't tell them, there's a great job out there for you. There are great paying jobs. There are jobs that you would love every morning. You can get up and you can't wait to get to. That can happen. You don't hear that kind of thing in Democrat. For the Democrat Party, you hear how there's no hope, that the deck's stacked against you because everybody hates you because you're a minority. The Republicans hate you. Big business hates you. They don't like you. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to stifle you, whatever. It's nothing but a scare regime. It's scaremongering, fear-mongering. Here's Trump. Did you notice also that Trump spoke to them as Trump? What do I mean by that? Well, let's listen to how Hillary Clinton speaks when she goes to a black church. March 4th, 2007, in Selma, at the First Baptist Church.
Let us say with one voice the words of James Cleveland's great freedom hymn. I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
So Hillary goes to a civil rights march. She goes to an African-American church, and she starts speaking in the black dialect. I ain't no way tired. I come too far. Contrast that with Trump. And Obama does the same thing. Same place. March 4th, 2004, Selma.
This is the site of my conception. I am the fruits of your labor. I am the offspring of the movement. So when people ask me whether I've been to Selma before, I tell them I'm coming home.
Have I been to Selma before? I'm coming home. So these guys go out and they condescend to change their speaking manner. They affect this whatever you black dialect. Trump just out there speaking to them from his heart. And he's speaking substantively and seriously and upliftingly positive. I just, these little things out there, hard to calculate, hard to track in polling data, but they are. This was reported on, by the way. There's one other thing I want you to hear. It's all the way back, January 24th, 1995. Bill Clinton in the State of the Union address. January 24th, 1995. I want you to tell me who this reminds you of.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Sounds exactly like Donald Trump, doesn't it? Now, Mr. Sturdley, have you heard this Clinton soundbite? Do you ever recall hearing Clinton say this back in the... I mean, you should have seen people's eyes on the other side of glass listening to this. They don't recall ever having heard it before, even though we all watched it. I didn't. When I found the bite, I was stunned like you probably are, because I don't remember. I remember all the Clinton similarities going after Osama bin Laden and Iraq that George W. Bush had said. But this is no different than what Trump is talking about. Here's Bill Clinton in 1994 talking about deporting all these illegal aliens we can find, stopping their welfare benefits. And you have a standing ovation in the House chamber. Back after this. Don't go away. So I checked the email during the break. It's typical. This guy says, so what's the big deal, what Clinton said back in 1994? So Clinton says the same thing on immigration in 94, Trump. So what, Rush? So, I'll tell you, so what? He got a standing ovation for it. In 1994, how many years ago is that? 22? 22 years ago. The American people were so fed up with illegal immigration that the President of the United States was echoing their sentiments. We had to start mass deportation. We had to stop welfare benefits. We had to secure the border. Well, guess what? It was roundly supported and applauded. Nothing happened. If you want to, the American people pay attention. This issue affects millions of people and has for longer than 20 years. And all these politicians have come along and they've said they're going to do something about it, including President Bill Clinton back in 1994, and nobody has. So you skip forward to 2016, and here comes Trump. 2015, actually. Here comes Trump. And they believe him on it. My point is, do not underestimate the power of this issue in terms of motivating people and turning people out and causing people who haven't voted in a while to maybe show up and vote. It's that big. And the establishment totally misses this. Obviously, they miss it because they have yet to take it seriously. And in fact, they've done everything they can to make sure what Clinton was advocating, what Trump's advocating, never happens. To the phones we go. Back to him. Bob in Youngstown, Ohio. Great to have you, sir. Hello.
Pleasure being on, Rush. Listen, the story this weekend was not Cleveland, Ohio, by any stretch of the imagination. It was the Canfield, Youngstown area. And as you know, the Trumbull County, Mahoning County, and Cuyahoga County are the bastion for Democrat politics in this state. And something interesting happened at the Canfield Fair on Monday, and it was not Donald Trump. It was Richard Trumka was there, and a gentleman by the name of David Beatrice, who's the head of the Democrat Party in Mahoning County. And they're pulling out all of the stops because they know, and they have taken poll after poll after poll, and they know that this Democrat bastion is going to go Republican for Donald Trump. And that's a fact, and you can take it to the bank.
Well, okay, but what happened at this event there, if you say that?
Well, Trumka, who's the head of the AFL-CIO, he's a biggie. They brought him in to try and change minds. They had him at the Canfield Fair. David Beatrice was absolutely apoplectic, screaming that Donald Trump is a phony, Donald Trump is a liar, Donald Trump. Everything he was saying is Hillary Clinton. It isn't Donald Trump. The only liar in this, chronic and habitual liar in this campaign, is Hillary Clinton. She lies when she gets up in the morning, and she lies before she goes to bed at night.
Wait, I'm still missing. Did the crowd...
Oh, the crowd was apoplectic for Donald Trump. He was like a rock star.
That's what I was missing.
Yeah, like a rock star.
So you had all these Democrat officials, Trumka and this other guy, and they're going on about how horrible Trump is, and the crowd kept shouting, Trump, 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 Trump.
Well, yes, but Trumka and Beatrice, they were before Trump. They had a Democrat tent there, and they had a Republican headquarters tent there. I don't know exactly, specifically the location.
Look, I've got to go. I don't have any more time. I'm on one of these breaks that doesn't float. Back into... Okay, folks, I'll take another break here at the top of the hour coming up. Fastest 3 hours in media. There's still so much. They get still recapping what all went on the supposedly slow Labor Day weekend, including the FBI document dump on Friday, Mrs. Clinton's interview, and other related items, all coming up. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats and their willing accomplices in the drive-by media are still very worried about this whole email situation with Hillary Clinton. They think that great danger still lurks there. And they are probably right about that. Greetings and welcome back. Great to be back. Great to be with you. 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. And if you want to send an email, I check, and we have a new email address. It is lrushbo@eibnet.us. Catherine Herridge at Fox News. By the way, it's tough, folks, to understand all this. It's tough to get your arms around all of the FBI document dump, the various contradictions in questions and answers. The Benghazi hearings have resurfaced. Allegations are that the Democrats on that committee were furnished with the questions Hillary wanted asked, and that they did indeed ask those questions. John Cornyn says that Congress was duped during her confirmation hearings. It's taken 8 years, but a Republican senator has actually awakened here to complain about the obvious, meaning tricks of the trade employed by Democrats. But anyway, Catherine Herridge at Fox has been reporting all day, raising big questions about emails that indicate the Clinton camp got questions they wanted to have asked to Democrat senators during the Benghazi hearing, and the Democrat senators then used the very questions they were fed at the hearing because Mrs. Clinton had the pat answers ready to go. Hillary Clinton, in her FBI interview, said she was unable to recall things 39 times. There are, I think, a lot of, I don't know how to characterize them, small stories that could potentially get big, or big stories out there that are big only within a small universe of the media. You know, you realize, folks, we are a segregated media. We're a segregated country, and we have a segregated media. We have the conservative media, the new media, whatever, and we have the drive-bys, the old mainstream media. And they're still the big ones. They are still the majority media. And in fact, the existence, starting in 1988, of this new media, of the conservative media, I think has hardened the drive-by and mainstream media. I think it's made them even more biased, and more openly biased, and more openly confrontational, and more openly supportive than they ever have been before. They used to be able to get away with the pretense of being objective and fair and down the middle. And with the rise of the new media, almost a call to arms in the media in terms of competition, they were forced out of the foxhole, and they had to expose themselves in the process of defending their turf. And so it has given the impression that the divide in the country extends even beyond the population, that it includes now the media. I don't think that's new. I just think it has a new face, or a cloak has been lifted, and people now see the mainstream media for what it always was. It was never objective, and it was never non-biased or unbiased, and it was never, quote-unquote, fair. What's different about it, as I say, is they're open about who they are now, and they're unashamed because they're in a very competitive situation. But nevertheless, it's led to this segregated media. And things that happen, things that get reported, not things that happen, the things that get reported in our media tend to stay there. They don't cross over to the mainstream media, such as Hillary's coughing. In fact, the mainstream media reaction to Hillary's coughing is, would you guys stop covering this? There's no story here. There's nothing to see here. Human beings cough. You're using this unfairly, and you're using this in a way that's not representative of the truth, and it's got to stop. You should just stop it. They have no intention of using it. So this segregated media remains what it is, and that even extends to social media. Sometimes there's crossover. Sometimes things that happen that are big here in our media do make it into the drive-bys, reluctantly so. But it's why so much of what you see on Fox you don't see on CNN or MSNBC or anywhere else. And the Hillary FBI interview and the FBI document dump is a classic example of this. The drive-by media and its related membership looked at all these documents that were released and dumped on the Friday of Labor Day weekend, and they say, they are reporting that everything confirms that Hillary Clinton's honest and did not lie and does not lie, and that there isn't even a story here. There's not a story on Benghazi. There's not a story on the emails. There isn't anything. And everything you're hearing in the right-wing media is all made up and trumped up, and you shouldn't believe any of it because it's all just partisan BS. That's what they're saying. They're saying there's nothing to see here. This proves that Hillary Clinton is the angel we have always thought she was. The document dump says that there's nothing to see here. Well, there are various lists. People have looked at the documents and have written lists. The 10 things you had always remembered. You should always remember. The 5 things you should always remember. The 10 things we should never forget about the Hillary Clinton document dump. And I have amassed and collected all of these. And I have a couple to share with you. The 5 most outrageous things Hillary Clinton said in her FBI interview. Number 1, she cited her 2012 concussion as the reason she can't remember details of briefings during her transition out of office. Well, if she was unable to remember such things at the time, why was she at work? If this concussion was so bad, why was she allowed? Why was she permitted front and center on all of these issues if she had no idea what she was being told? If every briefing she got she can't remember, then why did she have the job? Shouldn't she have been on medical leave if this concussion was that bad? Anyway, I think, to cite the 2012 concussion as the reason she can't remember details of briefings during the transition out of office, that makes the concussion sound far more serious than what they're trying to make it out to be. Number 2, she said she never even thought whether emails she exchanged on a future U.S. drone attack should be classified. Never even thought about it. See? She didn't lie. There's nothing to see here. Drone attacks, who says they should be classified? Say her defense. Yes, we're supposed to believe. That's exactly the point. She said she never even thought whether emails she exchanged on a future U.S. drone attack should be classified. Why did you want to see those? Those are part of the yoga and wedding things I deleted. Why would those be interesting? Yes, we're supposed to believe that. Number 3, she said that she's thought the C before a paragraph indicated alphabetical order. Now, the C stands for classified. But the Secretary of State, and any of them, will tell you, Colin Powell, you run the gamut of them, they'll tell you, they consider everything they get to be classified. Everything they get is secret. Everything they get is for their eyes only and for a small group of people. Well, Hillary Clinton is trafficking in this stuff. She is trafficking in classified data. Her excuse to the FBI was, I thought the C indicated that it was paragraph C. Well, where was paragraph A? Where was paragraph B? She was in the Senate for 8 years. She was Secretary of State for 4 years. She was on the Armed Services Committee. She said and ran into and saw countless classified documents. She saw the C, in other words, on document after document after document. Is she really so stupid she couldn't figure out what it meant? If she's, folks, do you realize how stupid this makes her sound? I thought that was alphabetical order. This is my point earlier in the program. When she gets caught, she resorts to one or two, maybe three things. She plays the gender card. Sometimes she plays the race card. And sometimes she plays the sympathy card. As in, I'm sorry, I don't recall, or I didn't know. And it's the I didn't know that buffaloes me. Because I don't know how that jives with the fact that this is the smartest woman in the world. And all of the people that support her, and for the entire time that she has been in public life, her reputation has been smartest woman in the world. Don't forget that Barack Obama on the stage at the Democrat convention told everybody that she is far and away the most qualified person ever to seek the presidency. Sorry, George Washington. Sorry, FDR. Sorry, Abe Lincoln. Sorry, Bill Clinton. But your wife, she runs rings around both of us, is what he said. And yet, after having said that, here's a woman who says, I thought the C represented alphabetical order. She has no problem portraying herself as ignorant and thinks that it's an excuse. She thinks that she's going to get away with it. Number 4, she said that no one ever raised concerns to her about her use of a private email server. And yet, we have emails where her own aides, including Huma Abedin, raise concerns about her server being unsecure. She said she couldn't recall any training on how to handle classified information. Now, come on. I mean, she signed documents saying she had been briefed on how to handle classified information. And she didn't ask. This is, again, she's citing the stupid card. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Nobody taught me. Nobody trained me on how to deal with class. You're the Secretary of State, First Lady, Senator. What do you mean nobody trained you? You're supposed to be so smart that this stuff instinctively occurs to you. And yet, we're supposed to feel sorry for the girl. We're supposed to understand, well, she had a concussion. Yeah, she fell off in the snooper fire or whatever. You know, these crazy accidents, and it might be brain fried there a couple of times, and she's got to be sympathetic. You've got to be understanding. She's got the coughing spasms. She's working hard. She's doing the best she can. Nobody taught her. Nobody trained her on classified and how to deal with it. Really? That's the excuse? Now, you might think individualist stuff is small stuff, and it probably sounds that way. But when you remember what it is we're talking about here, we're talking about a serial liar who's caught in the act, and these are her excuses that she offers in order to get away with lying. Oh, I thought the C is paragraph C. Nobody trained me on classified. Can you imagine if George W. Bush, who they portrayed as a dumb hick cowboy, had ever laughingly, jokingly said, nobody ever told me about classified. I never knew about class. I thought it was for everybody. Can you imagine what the reaction would be? Clinton aides told the FBI the Secretary of State frequently replaced her BlackBerry phone and the whereabouts of her old device would become unknown. The FBI report suggests there were at least 13 different devices. The point of that is she was making supreme efforts. She was going to the extensive mile to cover up what she was doing because she did know what she was doing, and she did know that she was skirting the law, and she did know she was skirting policy. And she worked it. She found as many different ways as possible to do it. Because the ultimate objective was to prevent people from finding out what she was actually doing as Secretary of State. And what she was actually doing as Secretary of State was raising money for her husband and herself and her daughter under the guise of funding a Clinton Global Initiative and Clinton Family Foundation. She used the position of Secretary of State to raise money. She sold access if necessary, but whatever, she was collecting money. She was raising money for herself and her family. And that's why she didn't want anybody to know what she was doing. That's why everything was done on a private server. That's why everything was done away from the official State Department network, because she couldn't allow for what she was really doing as Secretary of State to be discovered. Now that it has been discovered, the excuses, I didn't know. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Classified? No, nobody ever trained me in that. That was a classified document. I thought that was paragraph C. I didn't know that what was in that paragraph was secret. Oh, gee, I'm sorry, I didn't. Well, you know, I had a concussion. I had a fall. I had a concussion during the corkscrew landing that resulted in sniper fire, and I just don't remember. All of this was to hide what was really going on, and that is Bill and Hillary Clinton accruing and acquiring personal wealth the only way they knew how to sell access to themselves and the positions they held in government. Squeeze another telephone call in here, folks, as we maximize broadcast time. Here is Lisa, Charleston, South Carolina. Great to have you. Hi.
Hi, Rush. Thanks for taking my call. I'm going to make it real quick since my battery's about to go here, but your comment earlier about the celebrity of Donald Trump, I just wanted to make the point that I actually think it's the reverse. I think that he has succeeded in spite of his celebrity, not because of it. So I feel like he really spoke to conservatives for him to be able to overcome just being known as a celebrity and be taken seriously. Because conservatives generally shy away from the celebrity culture. They don't like celebrity. So he had to prove himself to be taken seriously rather than people be impressed.
Now, wait a minute. You got a good point. You have a great point there. But I need to. What do you mean conservatives shy away, don't like celebrity? What do you mean by that?
Like when you see people, like you see Hillary Clinton going with Justin Timberlake, or Jennifer Aniston, or hearing celebrities, or Hollywood speaking their minds. I mean, people don't really care to hear them.
But wait, what if Justin Timberlake were out there doing joint appearances with Trump? You think they'd like it?
No. I actually think that would probably turn people away. They don't. I mean, unless he actually truly believed. I mean, I don't know. I don't.
You know where Bill Clinton was this weekend? He was not with Hillary when she was having her coughing spasms.
He was in Detroit marching.
No. Well, I don't know. He was with Beyonce.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he was with Beyonce. So, yeah, to be quite honest, I think if Justin Timberlake or some celebrity came out, I don't think that would look good for Donald Trump. I think that the conservatives are not impressed with that. I think he had to work harder.
Yeah, true.
Of his
but remember, not everybody's supporting Trump's conservative.
Well, he's the one. I feel like it's a false. I think it's a false narrative to say that people like Paul Ryan speak for conservatives. People are voting for Trump because he is the one, I think, espousing conservative values. He wouldn't fund the omnibus bill. He's strong in immigration. He wants sovereignty. Where Paul Ryan, who claims to speak for all conservatives.
Who brought up Paul Ryan?
I feel like Paul Ryan is part of the establishment. They're the ones who act like
When did we get married?
They're the ones who gauge who's a true conservative.
When did we get married? What kind of device are you using that your battery's about to peter out on you?
A Droid, but I'm not home to plug it in.
Crying out loud.
Yeah. But anyway, so I just...
Well, I hope the thing doesn't explode on you.
Well, it's not a Samsung, and I just saw Samsungs were exploding, so... But my point... Hey,
I'll send you a new iPhone a 6S if you want one. If you'd
Really?
Yeah, just tell Mr. Snerdley what you want.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, do that. You know, I think Hillary Clinton lies with the imagination of a 6-year-old. That's what I'm trying to say here. The way she lies about these things is akin to your 6-year-old kid. You end up almost feeling charmed when your 6-year-old lies to you about something. You know the kid knows you got caught red-handed, and you kind of marvel at the kid's explanation. Hillary strikes me as a 6-year-old coming up with these excuses for lying. Here, grab audio soundbite number 8. Now, this happened on the new campaign plane yesterday. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Washington, said to Hillary, Madam Secretary, the FBI report cited several instances where you couldn't recall State Department guidance about the classification system of documents, about how you were trained when you went in, about what you did when you left office. Does that indicate apparent latitude towards classification and towards the way secrets were held and protected? Does it mean you didn't take it very seriously, Mrs. Clinton?
I went into the State Department understanding classification. I'd been on the Senate Armed Services Committee for years before I was Secretary of State. I take classification seriously. The fact that I couldn't remember certain meetings, whether or not they had occurred, doesn't in any way affect the commitment that I had and still have to the treatment of classified material.
Classic. The question is not whether you treat it seriously. Well, actually, it is. But the question is not whether or not you're committed to it. The question is, why didn't you commit to it? Oh, I'm committed to it just because I don't remember my training, and just because I don't remember some meetings, and just because I don't remember how, it doesn't mean that I'm not committed. The point is, you were trafficking in classified documents. Secrets were all over the world because of you. And your excuse is, well, I care. I really care. That's the Democrats out every time they get in a tight snatch. I care. At least I care. The other guy doesn't even care, but I care. Oh, okay. And then you had a concussion because your corkscrew landed and had a sniper fire and you fell down. All that stuff. Yeah, right. I don't know, folks. It just, none of this jibes, again, with the reputation they want us to believe, and that is she's the smartest woman in the world. She's more competent than anybody who's ever been president. That's what they told us at the Democrat convention. That she is so competent, that she's so smart, she can't even contain it. The competence and the intelligence are oozing out of every orifice and every pore in her skin. It's just incredible how talented this woman is. Well, duh. Where is it? Because every excuse we get is wrapped around, I didn't know, I don't remember, I wasn't trained properly, I forgot. Excuses that nobody in positions of power uses or even gets away with. Here's Karen in Detroit. It's great to have you on the EIB network. I'm glad you waited.
Hey,
hello. Hi, Karen.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I listened to the live and watched, I should say, the live feed from Trump's visit to Detroit at the Great Faith Ministries Church.
Yeah.
And he left soon after he spoke. And I decided I would watch the rest of the program, okay? And when the Bishop Jackson preached, I just want to say that midway through his message, he said that his team asked the Trump advance team, do you have any requirements or whatever? And the only question the Trump team said was, will you give Trump a fair shake? Or it might have been a fair chance, but it's the same message anyway. He said he didn't ask about money. He didn't ask about restrictions on questions. He only wanted a fair shake. And to me, that spoke volumes. But you won't see that on the media.
No, you won't. I didn't know about it until you just said it. That they asked Trump what he wanted, what his needs were, what his requirements were. I just want a fair shake. He didn't demand any money. He didn't demand to know the questions in advance. Didn't demand that questions be on a certain topic or asked a certain way, which is the Clinton way, by the way. The Clinton way, they pick the people who are going to ask the questions. They then give those people the questions so that the answers are foretold and already known. And needless to say, Trump also didn't tell him he wanted only brown M&Ms. In the bowl in the green room. So I did not know that, Karen. I appreciate the call. I want to go back to our caller before the last half hour, the one who had an Android phone, and I made a snide comment about, her battery was about to expire. She said she didn't have much time. And I thought, well, I hope it doesn't explode on you. Now, that's a reference to the latest Samsung phone, their phablet called the Note 7. And they've had to recall them. Because they're exploding. The batteries are exploding during recharging. Samsung has this supposed fast charging technology, but the battery assembly, there's something not right in it, and the batteries, just the latest one, a battery exploded in an Australian hotel room and did $2,000 worth of damage. It's a very dangerous thing. So there's an unofficial official recall. They haven't actually recalled them through the Consumer Product Safety Commission, but they've let it be known if you take the phone in, they'll exchange it for a new one, but it's going to take some time. Now, here's the point about it. So what, Rush? Well, I'll tell you what it matters. And it's a media thing. As you know, I read tech blogs. My hobby. I read every tech blog. Well, not everyone. I don't think it's possible. But I mean, a slew of them. And I'm here to tell you, folks, that 80%, if not more, of the tech media hates Apple and loves Samsung. 80% of the tech media reports on Apple the way the drive-bys report on Republicans. And Samsung gets the treatment that Obama and Hillary and the Democrats get. Now, what's fascinating about it is that all year the reporting on Apple has been, it's over. Apple's finished. First year iPhone sales did not grow. There's no innovation, nothing new coming out of Apple. They're finished. They're done. Meanwhile, they are just scoring 90% of the profits in the smartphone industry worldwide with nowhere near 90% market share. And it turns out, information today, the iPhone 6S is the biggest selling iPhone in the world. The second biggest selling iPhone in the world is the iPhone 6. Samsung is at number 4. Samsung has sold something like 2.5 million of these Note 7s. Apple sells that in 5 minutes. So here comes this Samsung phone that the media touted as the iPhone 7 killer. Samsung even moved up the production and the release date to release the Note 7, whatever they're calling this thing. It's their phablet phone. It's their 5.5 or 6 inch phone, the Note 7. They moved up production to release it earlier than the iPhone 7's coming out to beat Apple. And now they're all blowing up. And the tech media, it's incredible. The tech media is, how unfortunate for Samsung. They tried so hard. You know, this is going to cost Samsung $1 billion. Oh, my God, it's horrible. It's horrible what this is going to cost poor Samsung. Now, look, I got nothing at Samsung. Nothing at all. couple Samsung TVs in here. Don't anybody misunderstand. This is strictly media analysis here. If Apple released a product that was blowing up on people, it would be front page New York Times. Everybody who's had a phone that blew up would be featured. There would be this class action lawsuit like you can't imagine. It's stunning. And yet Apple is a bunch of libs. Apple is a bunch of progressives. Apple does everything. They're global warming aficionados, all of this stuff, but they're big. They're the big guns, and as such, they've got to be taken out. As such, they've got to be destroyed. As such, they've got to be taken down a peg. It's an amazing thing to watch. The similarities in the way media treats Apple versus its competitors, primarily Samsung. And it's something I've noticed ever since I started reading these things. And this takes the cake. This was going to be the iPhone killer. And understand there's a couple of them every year. Tech media, whatever new is coming out in Samsung is the next iPhone killer. And there hasn't been one. And poor Samsung, now this thing is the latest. Samsung got better display. It's got a faster processor. Guess what? The iPhone 6S, a 1-year-old phone, smokes it. In Geekbench tests, it's not even close. And it's amazing to see how this is. It's a fascinating study in media. It just is. And it doesn't matter where you go in media, they're all predictably the same. Whether it's sports, whether it's tech, whether it's business, whether it's the news, doesn't matter. It's all the same. Jason Chavez, Utah, has pledged to hold fresh hearings on Hillary's private server use before leaving the State Department. In the middle of a campaign, this is not typical Republican behavior, folks. All right, folks, we're off and running. The sprint to Election Day, officially underway. The day after Labor Day it begins, and we are here for the duration. It's great to be back with you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'll be on from noon to 1. We're going to do nothing but calls between 1 and 3 so I can watch the Apple new iPhone presentation.